Why are hospitals helpless against chronic diseases? 第10章，为什么医院对慢性病束手无策？Chronic gastritis, chronic enteritis, and chronic osteomyelitis are all chronic diseases. 慢性胃炎、慢性肠炎、慢性骨髓炎等，这些疾病都属于慢性病。Chronic disease is the outward manifestation of the failure of the body to heal or rehabilitate. 慢性病是身体修复失败的外在表现。The body's ability to heal or rehabilitate is not easy to give up and surrender. When a part of the body is damaged, the body starts to rehabilitate. 身体的修复能力是不会轻易放弃、举手投降的。当身体的某个部位损伤后，身体就开始修复。The pathogenesis of chronic diseases is a cyclical process of continuous damage and rehabilitate, and re-injury, and re-heal or rehabilitate. 慢性病的发病过程就是不断的进行损伤修复、修复再损伤、再损伤再修复的循环往复的过程。In simple words, a certain part of the body is broken again after being repaired, and this process is repeated continuously. 通俗的讲，身体的某个零部件坏了，修上后又坏了，再给修上后又坏了，这个过程不断的重复进行。During this process, the body mobilizes all the nutrients from all over the body to heal the damaged area. 在这一过程中，身体会从全身各处调动一切可调动的营养素，到受损伤的部位进行修复。Our body is very interesting, and the best thing it can do is to tear tear down the easy wall, the east wall, to make up for the west wall. But the premise is that the east wall is allowed to be disassembled, and it doesn't matter if it is disassembled a little bit until one day there was no more extra to disassemble on the east wall. At this time, the adjustable nutrients were essentially used up, and there were no raw materials, and the rehabilitation or the healing is helpless when the damage occurred. 我们的身体很有趣，最会干的事就是拆东墙补西墙，但前提条件是东墙允许拆，拆一点也没什么大的关系。直到有一天，东墙再也没有多余的可拆了，此时本质上就是可调动的营养素耗尽了，没原料了，修复才眼看着损伤的发生而无可奈何，自己空有一手的本领而无处施展。From the above point of view, chronic disease is not a single organ problem. It involves multiple systems throughout the body because, in the process of disease, it is necessary to mobilize nutrients from various systems of the body to heal the damaged part or to rehabilitate the damaged part. 从上述看，慢性病不是单一器官的问题，它牵涉到全身的多个系统。因为在发病过程中，要从全身各系统调动营养素来修复损伤部位。For example, is chronic gastritis chronic gastritis simply a stomach problem? Let's analyze. 比如，慢性胃炎单纯是胃的问题吗？我们分析一下。Who is prone to be gastritis? Hot-tempered, sensitive, and work stressed. People with poor liver function are generally hot-tempered, and irritability can also damage the liver. Therefore, gastritis has a certain relationship with the liver function. 哪些人容易得胃炎呢？脾气急的、小心眼的和工作压力大的。肝功能不好的人一般脾气急躁，脾气暴躁也会伤肝，所以胃炎跟肝功能有一定关系。People with gastritis often have poor sleep, and those with poor sleep will not have a good function of stomach, indicating that stomach problems are also related to the nerve system. 有胃炎的人往往睡眠不好，睡眠不好的人胃也不会太好，说明胃病跟神经系统也有关系。Therefore, chronic gastritis is not a simple stomach problem, but a manifestation of a multi-system dysfunction in a single organ. 所以，慢性胃炎不是单纯胃的问题，而是多系统功能紊乱在单一器官的这个表现。Human chronic diseases are all external manifestation of multi-system dysfunction in a single organ. In other words, chronic diseases are systemic problems, and hospitals can hardly solve such problems. 人类的慢性疾病都是多系统功能紊乱在单一器官的外在表现。也就是说，慢性病是系统问题。医院几乎解决不了这样的问题。The so-called system is the sum of all components that can independently complete a task. 所谓系统，就是能独立完成一个任务的所有部件的总和。For example, the digestive system includes many parts such as the mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, liver, pancreas, etc. A common task of so many parts is to digest food and absorb nutrients. The liver secretes bile and stores it in the gallbladder. The pancreas secretes pancreatic juice, and when the food enters the stomach for initial grinding, then enters the small intestine. Bile and pancreatic juice also enter the small intestine to help digestion and absorption. 比如，消化系统呢，包括口腔、食道、胃、小肠、大肠、肝脏、胰腺等很多部件。这么多部件的一个共同任务就是消化食物、吸收营养。肝脏分泌胆汁，储存在胆囊里；胰腺分泌胰液，当食物进入胃初步黏膜后进入小肠，这时胆汁和胰液也进入小肠，帮助消化吸收。For example, a computer is a system which consists of a monitor, a keyboard, and a motherboard, a CPU, and many other components. 打个比方，一台电脑呢，就是一个系统，由显示器、键盘、主板、CPU 等很多部件组成。If the computer suddenly freezes while using it, the system is out of order. What should you do then? You press the button to restart. What does the restart process do? It is the process of the system self-healing. The system checks on its own what goes wrong and then solves the problem on its own. You never disassemble the computer to see where it is wrong so you can fix it as soon as it crashes. 你在使用电脑过程中突然死机了，就是系统紊乱了，这时怎么办？你按一下这个电钮重启。重启的过程是做什么呢？是系统自我修复的过程。系统自己检查是哪里出了问题，然后自己把问题解决掉。你从来不会电脑一死机，马上拆电脑，非要看死在哪里，好把它修好。The same is true for the occurrence of diseases. The system is in disorder. It is almost impossible for the hospital to correct the disorder of the system. The only feasible way is to let the system heal or rehabilitate itself, and the human body's ability to heal or rehabilitate can do exactly that. 疾病的发生也是相同的道理，是系统紊乱了。医院几乎不可能把系统紊乱纠正，唯一可行的方式就是让系统自我修复，而人体的修复能力完全可以做到这一点。Why can hospitals hardly solve the problem of systemic disorder? Not because the doctor is not smart, but because of the way of the Western medicine prescribed by the doctor targets on the human body. 为什么医院几乎解决不了系统紊乱的问题呢？不是因为医生笨，而是跟医生开的西药作用于人体的方式有关。Today's hospitals are always involved in the internal affairs of the system. The effect of Western medicine is not targeted at the system level, but at a very precise point, directly targets on a certain position in some cells in an organ, such as an enzyme in the metal in the mitochondria, or an enzyme on the cell membrane, or a molecule within a cell. Molecules make up cells, cells make up organs, and organs make up systems. 今天的医院总是插手系统内部事务，西药的作用不是在系统，不是在系统层面的，而是在一个非常精确的点，直接作用于某个器官内的一些细胞中的某个位置，例如线粒体中的某个酶，或细胞膜上的某个酶，或细胞内的某个分子。分子组成细胞，细胞组成器官，器官组成系统。The molecular level and the system level are too far apart. Originally, it is a system problem, but Western medicine targets on one point in the system, regardless of the disorder of many points in one system or multiple systems. So, it is impossible for Western medicine to correct the disorder of the system. 分子层面和系统层面相差太远了，本来是系统问题，西药却这个作用于系统内的一个点，而不顾一个系统或多个系统内很多点的紊乱，所以西药不可能纠正系统紊乱。A system may be in chaos because thousands of reactions have slowed down or even stopped, and Western medicine only activates one or two of them. How can this system problem be solved? System problems must be solved at the system level, and only the healing or rehabilitate ability of human body can do it. 一个系统紊乱，可能是因为上千个反应慢下来了，甚至是停止了，而西药只激活了其中的一两个反应。那这个系统问题怎么能解决呢？系统问题一定要在系统层面上解决，只有人体的修复能力才能做到。For example, gastritis is originally the result of multi-system dysfunction, but doctors always give medicines to treat stomach problems instead of correcting the multi-system disorder. So, gastritis has become a difficult disease to treat. When it becomes stomach cancer, there is no chance to cure gastritis. 比如胃炎，本来是一个多系统功能紊乱的结果，但医生总给治胃病的药，而不是纠正多系统的紊乱，所以胃炎就成了很难治的病，一治就治几十年，直到变成胃癌，就没时间治胃炎了。When we find the right approach, that is, to exert the healing or rehabilitate ability of the human body, it only takes about 2 weeks for gastritis from the start of the treatment to the disappearance of clinical symptoms. 当我们找准正确方向，即发挥人体的修复能力，一个胃炎从治疗开始到临床症状消失，快的只需要2周左右的时间。For more great contents, please visit ChineseTutorly.com/health. See you next time. 再见。